Ladies and gentlemen, last year after the execution of Clayton Lockett, our state was unfairly thrown into the national spotlight. Upon adjournment, Senator Sykes and I immediately moved forward to find a solution to a problem that not only affects Oklahoma, but also the rest of the country. After a thorough and comprehensive study, we are confident we have found a solution. That solution is nitrogen hypoxia. First, it is practical. Second, it's efficient. And third, it's humane. Capital punishment causes emotions to rise on both sides of the debate. Anyone opposing this solution will give numerous reasons why this is a bad idea. They'll scream it's experimental. They'll scream it's suffocating. They'll weigh in with all kinds of hyperbole to justify their misguided positions. However, the number one reason they're opposed is because they're opposed to capital punishment. The second reason they don't like this is because it's foolproof. Let me repeat that. It's foolproof. The process is fast and painless. In fact, it is so painless that a person will pass out before they recognize they're in danger. It has been studied for decades. In the 1960s, doctors conducted experiments on patients breathing pure nitrogen. It has been rigorously studied by the military, the FAA, it has been studied by OSHA, and it has been studied by groups that support euthanasia. The results of these studies are breathing pure nitrogen with no oxygen will result in the person becoming unconscious within 8 to 10 seconds and death a few minutes later. In other words, a humane, quick, and painless death. Besides being humane, one of the benefits of using nitrogen is that it is not subject to the supply issues we face with lethal injection. There is no way for anti-death penalty activists, aka, the European Union, to restrict its supply. And even if they could, the state could simply purchase an inexpensive nitrogen generator. Another advantage is that we would not depend on the cooperation of the medical community. The process is so simple that it can be conducted by any layman. This is important because those opposed have made it a lot tougher for medical professionals to be involved in the process, as they risk having their license revoked for being willing to participate. This spring, the U.S. Supreme Court will decide if our current method of execution is unconstitutional. If they decide it is unconstitutional, our next method currently available is death by electrocution. Today, we are sending a message to the U.S. Supreme Court and the rest of the world that the people of Oklahoma realize we have a problem and the people of Oklahoma have found a solution. And that we have taken a very serious and proactive lead on this controversial issue and welcome every state in the union to follow us.
We're standing here before you today on an issue that I thought I would never have to address during my legislative career, and that's the death penalty. However, the events of the last year caused myself and Representative Christian and the entire Senate and House to look at this issue and to make sure that the executions are carried out that our juries impose in Oklahoma for the state's worst offenders. Anyone who's familiar with the facts of the case of the in the past year would note that these were especially heinous and atrocious cases. And in this instance, what we have done is become the leader once again to address this issue. Everything that Representative Christian said, especially with the interim study, the help from East Central University, this was a very scientific and fact-based approach. And today's measures, which are House Bill 1879, Senate Joint Resolution 31, will address the issue as we move forward on the death penalty in Oklahoma. Representative Christian spoke extensively about House Bill 1879 that adds nitrogen hypoxia along with securing other methods of execution, and the last method of execution being a firing squad if other measures are unavailable. SJR 31, my measure that he carried in the House and was approved this morning, puts to a vote of the people at the next general election, which will be November of 16, a measure regarding the death penalty, that it's constitutional, that it's not cruel and unusual punishment, and that the legislature has the authority to alter methods as we see necessary as the people elect us. Because that's really where this came from. It was an issue where politics got involved in science, as Representative Christian mentioned, with the execution drugs that we've always used, other states have always used, becoming political footballs. And with that, we are now addressing that and responding to it. And as we stand here today, years from now, other legislators may have to address that as well. However, we think today's action taken by both houses which is, I think, historic. I don't know if any other legislative body in the country has taken up the death penalty on simultaneously during the same day. But I think we've made a very big statement. I think the votes in the House and the Senate make a very big statement, passed with overwhelming bipartisan support as to where Oklahomans stand on the death penalty and what they expect us to do as their elected representatives and senators to make sure that's carried out.
Capital punishment is something that is very important as a tether for punishments to follow. It's one of those that we use for our most violent offenders to make sure that we do not overly punish or underly punish an individual who's guilty for other crimes. For myself, knowing I feel very privileged to work with these two gentlemen on these two bills, or on the Senate Joint Resolution 31 and House Bill 1879, and taking a step forward, showing that not only is Oklahoma determined to punish the guilty, but also we want to make sure that we do it in a humane way.
Other states have this measure in their constitution, and other states have carried out executions in there. So I feel very confident that what we're doing is amending the Constitution in the proper way.
We understand in Oklahoma that there's a problem as the other states that are in this position because of the ban on the export of the drugs from Europe. I'm just telling them that, hey, we're being very responsible and proactive however you rule, because we don't know how they're going to rule, but there's a good chance that they would rule it unconstitutional, but we have a backup plan.